Hello folks, I'm Dean with Dean's Woodworking. Y'all come on in and make yourself comfortable. Today we're going to turn a handle for a wood turning tool. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a hollowing tool. Today we're going to make the handle, and then I will have a second video coming out this week showing making the tool. Okay, with that said, let's talk a little bit about the pieces and the parts and what we've got here to put together. Okay, so here are the parts and pieces of what we've got and we're going to put together to make this handle with. So I got a copper fitting for the ferrule. This is a little different than I've ever used before. This one is called a flush bushing 1 inch to 3/4 inch. And one of the things that caught my eye about it is it's so much thicker than the standard copper pipe that I've used in the past, or the copper fittings that I've used in the past. So we're going to try that today. Then I got some number 10 by 24 thread insert nuts and some set screws, which are number 10 by 24 by 3/8. So that'll give us the ability to lock the tool into the handle. You'll notice that I've drilled 2 holes here. They came back about 1.5 inches and then about 2 3/4. So that's where we'll put our set screws to hold the tool into the handle. The handle material is pecan. It's about 14.5 inches long by about 1 3/4 inches square. So let's get that on the lathe, get started turning, and we'll go from there. I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got it in the chuck. We started rounding it down just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and take it a little further down to round and get it to where we can actually put it in the chuck. Right now it's between centers. Good deal, that should fit in there nicely. Okay folks, we've got the blank mounted in the chuck. We've got the tailstock up holding it for right now. We're going to go ahead and figure out exactly how long we need to make the tenon to go in this ferrule. So we're going to bring that back right about there. I'll make myself a mark right there. Okay, so that's where we need the tenon to be. Let's go ahead and make us a mark on that. So we've got us a good mark there. We know where we're going to be going to. Now we're going to go ahead and start the drilling process. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drill a 5/16 inch hole about 4 inches up in the end of this blank. We're going to go ahead and get the hole drilled in the blank first, and then we'll start turning it, okay? So here we go. Let me say something about using a Jacobs chuck in a tailstock like this. Know your lathe. The Morris taper on a lathe should be cleaned pretty regular, and if you do, it'll hold on to that Morris taper a lot better. Some lathes do a better job of holding a Morris taper. It's a good idea to keep your hand on that thing. I'm a little lax with that, only because I've had this lathe so long and I've done that so many times that I know it's holding that Morris taper. I have to sometimes really work to get it back out of there after I push it in there. But again, know your lathe, and if you're not sure about it, hold your hand on that Jacobs chuck, because that thing can back out on you. Okay, now we went in first with a 1/4 inch bit. Now we're going to go in with a 3/8 inch bit. Actually, I believe this is a 1/2 inch bit. And again, just take it easy. Go in slow, bring it back out. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the tool steel that we're going to be putting in this handle is 5/8 inch. This is where we kind of have to work with it a little bit, because this is a 5/8 inch Forstner bit, and I'd love to be able to run all 4 inches with the 5/8 inch Forstner bit, but obviously it's not 4 inches long. And I don't have an extension that will work with it that's been able to show its face this morning. Okay, with this spade bit, I'm really going to slow this down a little bit. We're going to feed it very slow. Not ideal for what we're doing here, but it will get the job done. Again, we're going to be just a little bit more careful. We're going to go a little bit slower because, again, not the ideal tool for the job. Okay, that got us to where we needed to be. We're going to go ahead and put the cone center on our live center. By doing this, we can put that live cone center right up in the end of that hole. It'll keep everything straight. So now we're ready to go ahead and turn this. Now, I don't remember, I hope I said it, but I may not have. This is 2¼ inch holes that I drilled to be able to put the inserts in to hold the tool in once we get it made. And the reason for a 5/8 hole is we're going to be using 5/8 stock for the tool we're making. We're going to give that a try, see if it'll fit on there. Should be just a little bit big yet, and it is. Sneak up on it, folks. Don't try to get there all at once. We're going to take this beading and parting tool. It's just a little bit narrower. And put us just a little bit of bevel on that. It is just barely going on there. Again, don't be afraid to take it easy. Okay, still tight. One of the things you have to be careful of, you can get just a little rambunctious there, and I just did, and I was afraid of that. So that's just a little bit loose now. The good news is we've got another 1/4 inch there, or 5/16 maybe. We'll make that a little snug up there, and by the time we get the epoxy in there, everything will fit just right. Okay, let's see what we've got there. As you can see, I've got a little bit of taper on that right up there at the end. So we're going to need to bring that down just a little bit. Let's see here. And so we just press that right on up on there. That is seated. Once we get the rest of the handle done, we'll pull that off. We'll epoxy in there, put it back on, and we'll be ready to go. So let's go ahead and let's start turning the handle. Now, I have a firm belief when you're turning handles, especially when you're turning them for yourself, this is the measuring tool. I want them to feel good in my hand. I see so many folks, and especially on YouTube, you look and they turned a tool handle, but it looks like a log. Let's take just a moment and look at some tool handles. This would be a Robert Sorby. You see how it gets big up here, where it needs the strength? It narrows down in here, and then gets bigger again, so you've got a nice big knob to hold on to the end. Let's look at a Carter & Sons. Again, it's not wood, it's aluminum, but look how it's made. It gets bigger up here, comes down narrower, give you a little better grip. Your hand can really wrap around that. And then you've got a nice round knob at the end to guide that with. Here's a less expensive tool. In fact, this is probably the cheapest set I've had. It was the first set of bowl gouges I ever got, and I absolutely love them, and if I ever wear them out, I'll buy them again. It's a set of Savannahs. Peachtree, I believe, sells them. Again, it's big up here. It's narrow back here. You got a little bit of a knob. And the reason I like them is every time I try out a new grind, this is what I try them out on. Let's go to a Wood River. Little less drastic of a change, but you notice it gets bigger, it narrows down, and then it comes back out again. Every one of those has one thing in common. They're not a straight stick, and none of them are 2 inches around. So really pay attention to that, and pay attention to your hand size. See, if I grip this right now, there's no way I can get a good grip in my hand all the way around that. I don't have excessively big hands or small ones either. So I will turn that to my hands. I would suggest, well, let's just look at my favorite handle. that I've ever turned. And let's see if we can look. The small area in the middle, it's just under an inch. When we're looking at this up here where it's the largest, it's 1.5 inches. Back here where it's the biggest, it's 1.25 inches. So it goes 1.5 inches, just under an inch, 1.25 inches. Hopefully that will help you guys, but really what I'd like to see you do is wrap your hand around it, and if it still feels a little big, make it a little smaller. If it feels too small, go ahead and finish it out. You've got a tool handle that may work for somebody else, and go get you another blank and turn another one for you. By the way, wood grows on trees, right? Let's take a look at that. We are so very close. We got just a little bit. Okay, so we went under just a little, but we're going to sand and polish this anyway. We're going to start going back down right about here, okay? See if that doesn't give you folks a little bit better view. We've got this half of the tool handle about where we want it. We're about 1.5 inches there. We're about 1 inch here. We're going to go ahead and determine where our end's going to be and start working on that. So here's where we Folks, let's take a look at this real quick. I think we've got it real close to where we want it to be. A little bit of sanding, but let's take some measurements here. Up there, we're just a little over 1.5 inches. Here, just over 1 inch. And then back here, oh, we're still about 1.5 inches. So we can bring this back here down a little bit. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bring all of this down through here and through here. Again, how do you tell if it fits or not? Put your hand on it. This one's a little bit bigger in the back than that other one I had, but I kind of like the feel of it. And again, my hand goes all the way around this part. This part, and I can still get a good grip on this. And remember, it's what feels right to you. Okay, so let me get sanding. I'm going to sand this down. We're going to polish this a little bit, and I will be right back. Okay, so we've got it all sanded down, and what we're going to do at this point is we're going to epoxy that ferrule on the end of it, and then we'll go ahead and do a final sand, put the finish on it, okay? So we're using a little bit of this JB Weld epoxy, and not that, again, you have to use that, or I think just about any brand of 5-minute epoxy will be just fine. It doesn't take much. I probably just mixed up enough to do a dozen handles, so we'll go ahead and stir this up real good. One of the things I did do was rough up the inside of this ferrule with 100 grit sandpaper, so just might want to keep that in mind. You do need to have a little bit of something for it to bite on in there, for it to adhere to. So we want to make sure we get a good even coat on that wood all the way around. And then the same thing with the inside of that ferrule. Actually, folks, I may have mixed up just the right amount. How did that happen? Good deal. Here we go. And we'll just put that right up there. We've got it right up on there, and we'll grab a shop towel just to wipe off the excess here. And we'll move our tailstock in. Just hold a little pressure on it while it dries. And I'll see you folks back in about 10 minutes. We'll give that epoxy time to set for just a little bit, okay? Okay, so now we're going to attempt to put these inserts in now. And again, I am thinking, okay, I'm going to chamfer each one of these holes just a little bit. That should make threading just a little bit easier. And let's see how it goes now. Okay, so after looking at this a little bit, I'm going to drill it out to 17/64 and see if we can't get that to go in there a little bit easier, okay? Now let's see what happens. Okay, that one started. Okay, so we got these in. We had to drill out from a 1/4 inch to 17/64, and then they went in fairly good. It took just a little bit. We've got them where they're flush on the inside. I was able to take the light, shine up in there, and see when they were just coming through. So I stopped them just before they started to block the hole in the tool handle. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to get a drill and a sanding pad. I'll probably use 120, and we'll knock the tops of those down, okay? So I'll be right back, all right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start out and just hit the top of this with some 80. That'll make it go just a little bit faster. Switch over to the 120 now. And let us just go through the process of sanding this piece up here again real quick. And we'll actually start with 220. Then we're going to switch over to 320. We'll hit that finial just a little bit there, not finial, ferrule. Okay folks, we have a tool handle that's ready to put a tool in. The only thing we've got to do is put some finish on it and then part it off the lathe. Originally, I was going to stain this. I've got this other handle here that I stained blue, and I've really liked it ever since I made it. So I was kind of thinking about staining this one blue too. But after I'm looking at this wood, I can't bring myself to put stain on it. So I think I'm just going to go back to one of my favorites and put several coats of antique oil on it. I'll tell you what, I'll put a coat or two on there, and then I'll finish it up and come back and show you folks what it looks like. Okay, so folks, so we're going to go ahead and put a coat of antique oil on this with it just setting here, so you can see what that's doing to that wood. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start turning it, and I'm just going to continue to put antique oil on there and build it up. And again, I'm just going to kind of use it as a friction polish. And so we're going to turn the speed up. And I'm just going to friction it into the wood. You can just kind of almost see that stuff drying as you're going over it. Folks, with that it's finished, all we got to do is part it off the lathe, and I'll be right back to do that. By the way, if you like what you're seeing and you're enjoying the videos I'm doing, please go down and hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you get notified when I put out a new video, and that way you don't miss anything. And if you don't mind, I sure would appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and leave me a comment. It sure does help the channel to do better with YouTube. Thank you so much. Okay folks, so we're going to go ahead and part this off. Let me get started. Okay, very little left on here, so we'll just go ahead and cut that with that little flush cut saw. And that little nub that's left, I'll just go ahead and sand it real quick. Okay, as you can see, we sanded that. And what we'll do is we'll just take some of that Danish oil, rub it right on the end there. Folks, that's how easy it is to make your own tool handles. And you can make the hole in the end any size you want to accept whatever tool you're going to be putting in there. Folks, that's how easy it is to make your very own tool handles. You can make the hole in the end any size you want. Just put some set screws in these little inserts and put your tool down in there, and you're ready to go. Thank you for watching. The next episode we will make the actual tool that's going to go in this handle, and we'll insert it in. We'll have a finished hollowing tool. And once we do that, then I'll do a video of actually hollowing a vessel with it, okay? Folks, thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and happy turning.